Kaizen is a great philosophy that was really given me not only a lot of encouragement, but also great direction in being successful. Kaizen is a term, it's a Japanese term that is the concept of small steps for continual improvement. Small steps for continuous improvement. Now Kaizen really kind of formulated and came out of the automotive industry, and the automotive industry in Japan really took away some great lessons that they learned from the Ford factory and the assembly line. But they improved it, and they made it better. And the way they made it better was by implementing an age-old truism and motto for the Japanese, which is called Kaizen. And Kaizen, what they're looking for are these small ways to change, these small improvements, small ways to make changes for the better. And in their philosophy and their mindset, they're continuous. So you never stop continuing to improve. It really goes to my good, better, best philosophy that Mr. Tacker taught me. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better or your better's best. Now, that is exactly what Kaizen is talking about, except even more specifically in small doses. And so what kind of small doses are we talking about? Well, a couple of different examples that we can use is one is Dale Brailsford, who is a cycling coach. He's a cycling coach for Team Sky, and his cycling teams have won, 18 different medals in the Olympics. They've won Tour de France's, and in Sir Brailsford's philosophy, he takes these Kaizen methods and these small steps for making improvements for his cycling team. And so these small improvements could be anything from, better pillows or better food or, rotations in your cycling. And his goal there is just to kind of get that one little improvement in everything that you do. And the little improvements are going to become big improvements on the aggregate. So, that's the way he's implemented it in sports and cycling. Now the problem is, see, we live in this microwave, small attention span, do 5-minute abs, to look amazing. We think everything's done fast and quick. The problem is it just doesn't work that way. In another great philosophy called, 2012 degrees, you can look up the YouTube. Well, what happens at 212 degrees? What happens at 212 degrees with water? Do you know? It boils. That means at 211 degrees, it's just hot water. But 1 degree more, just 1 degree more goes from hot water to boiling water. And so, again, like that 1% aggregate that, Dave Brailsford is looking for, we're looking for that one more degree, just that one little step forward that's going to help you to be successful. Another way to look at it is, we'll use the term, hey, let it bake. Let it bake. Let it marinate a little bit. Let that meat soak in there in that that homemade sauce, that marinade that's going to seep into the meat, and then it's going to come out when you cook it. Let your my family loves watching the British Bake Show, and they're always talking about how long they're going to bake their goods. And so, you know what? The hard thing is being patient. But you have to be patient. You have to let it bake. 1 degree matters. 1 minute matters. Why? Because it goes from having raw, uncooked food to perfectly cooked food. That 1 degree is the difference between hot water and being on fire, the boiling point. In my do better, good, better, best philosophy, we talk a lot about, having this vision to be to be great, to be excellent, to go from good to great. But I don't want people to be confused. I don't want them to think that this happens overnight, because it doesn't. That's why Kaizen is a very important part to good, better, best. In the show The Prophet by Marcus Lemonis, it really is my favorite show. And Marcus Lemonis and the show, what he does is he goes into struggling businesses and he helps their business. He buys into their business, and he helps them financially, and he helps them with their strategy and their planning and their management. But Marcus has three Kaizen steps really that he takes. And the three steps are his three P's. The first P is people. The second P is product. The third P is the process. And so he can take just these three little P's, these three little things: the people, you got to have the right people, your product, he makes tweaks on the product, and then the process, he refines and he uses the process from other companies to simplify so that you can create a replicatable business. And that's a big part of a lot of unsuccessful people are trying to try things so far off the reservation that they really don't have another process in which they can emulate. In the book Onward by Howard Schultz took kind of a Kaizen method approach by saying, look, we're going to go back to the basics and learn how to pour one perfect cup of coffee at a time. If we can't pour a perfect cup of coffee, then our whole business model will fall on top of itself. And since they've gone back to that old model, Starbucks has been doing nothing but having success all over the world. Now, finally, a final just philosophy and concept of Kaizen, and again, coming from one of our other philosophies of good to great. Remember in the book Good to Great, you've got to get the right people on the bus. I mean, you have to have the right people. You've got to get the right people in the right seats, right? And so sometimes we forget these things. We have our business and we don't know what's wrong. We want to make these changes. We want to make big changes. We want to fire everybody. We want to replace everybody. Sometimes it's just a matter of, you have the right people. You have a good staff, but they're in the wrong seat. They're in the wrong position. You don't have them doing what they do best. And so you have to shift things around a little bit. Remember, in Kaizen, we're talking about these small steps, right? Small incremental growth steps. Well, think about it another way. Think about the art of 10,000 hours. The art of learning how to become great takes time. In the book by Daniel Coyle, The Talent Code, and also mentioned in Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, they both talk about the process of 10,000 hours of grinding, of practicing, of fixing, experimenting, of failing. That's right. What I love about the Kaizen method, and if you go into the Toyota factory is a big implementer of Kaizen. Anybody on their production line can hit the red stop button, because if they see something wrong, they can stop the entire process. Now remember, it costs them thousands of dollars a minute for every minute that production line is not going. But it also can cost them thousands of dollars, if not more, if they send out a product that's not at its best. And so when you're thinking about your becoming better, when you're thinking about wanting to improve, wanting to go from good to better to best, remember that it's small continuous improvements, it's small marginal gains, and use the Kaizen method.